welcome back. Well, celebration of women in the month of March is what we do every year. And why not, seeing that women make up slightly less than 50% of Nigeria's population, account for more than 70%, unfortunately, of Nigerians living in extreme poverty. Well, this implies that majority of Nigerians are living in poverty, if 70% of Nigerians are living in poverty, and they need economic empowerment. Meanwhile, in the 2022 budget, the Ministry of Women Affairs is receiving just a little over 1 billion naira for the implementation of 13 economic empowerment programs. Wonder how effective that would be. Well, women are making up for this. We see a lot of women in MSMEs, which is why the latest report by PricewaterhouseCoopers shows that women in Nigeria account for 41% of ownership of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Well, we'll have this conversation and a whole lot more with Habiba Balogun, Director, Success for All Limited. She's one of those 41% we talked about. Good to see you. Good to talk to you
Thank
here.
You. Morning.
Happy Women's Day.
Thank you. You too. You too. Break the bias.
Yes, break the bias. So tell me, what was your first reaction when you saw that all the, I think, 6 bills in the House were rejected by the lawmakers? What came to your mind?
I was flabbergasted, actually. And I was asking myself, what is the problem? Is it that our country, and I'm using the men because these are our elected representatives, so is it that our country prefers poverty to prosperity? Because we use global benchmarks. Nigerians, we love using global benchmarks. And when you benchmark the most developed countries in the world, the only thing they have in common is the equal opportunity and participation of women in politics, economic life, and so on. They've basically legislated gender equality out of their policies, right? And so we've seen that. We know that. UN Women have engaged. So many other stakeholders. NESG has engaged, educated, raised awareness, sensitized. We all know that Nigeria cannot progress if its women are not able to contribute along with the men. So it's not about women replacing men, right?
Empowered. You have the majority. I mean, just 71% of the people living in extreme poverty are women. So if you want to get the country out of poverty, you have to empower the women. I think it's as simple as that.
It's driving insurgency. It's driving inefficiency. It's driving poverty. You know, women are the majority in terms of workers in agriculture. So I just had to ask myself, so is there a fear or hatred of women that greater than the fear and hatred of poverty? You know, or what are they thinking?
And you know, some facts jumped out of that conversation, because I think it was the Speaker of the House of Representatives who said, when you want to campaign, when you want to go out for your vote, it is women and the youth that make up the majority of campaigning, for driving votes in the marketplace, out on the road, sharing flyers. They are women. And so when it's time to stand up for the women, it's odd. Well, do we say that the women are not presenting their cause well? Because some people gave some reasons. I remember somebody said, oh, women cannot go out for late night meetings. Women cannot, you know, are we not packaging our requests, or are we not ready?
I'm not sure that it is. You mentioned 70% of the population are poor, and the majority of that are women. That poverty is correlated with illiteracy.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a lot of these women who are going and electing these people, and they're not educated. When people want to keep a population down, one of the things they do is limit their access to education. So a woman who's not educated doesn't know that she has an equal and important role to play in the development and the prosperity of her family and of her community. Like these many women, you've talked about 41%, the PwC report. Yes. Faith Foundation also released a report recently. 23 million Nigerian women own businesses, micro businesses. MSMEs, yeah. And most of them are only doing business because of poverty. They have found themselves, I don't have a choice. I'm not educated, I can't get a job. The only thing I can do is do some kind of business, some kind of trade, petty trade. So they've gone into business because of this, but they are illiterate. If you're illiterate, you cannot do financial reporting of your transaction. If you don't do financial reporting and management, you cannot get loans. So it all goes back to that illiteracy. And where does that illiteracy come from? It comes from that bias, which is why this year is called Break the Bias. I'm poor, I'm a poor family. I have a boy, I have a girl. I will choose to only educate one. The boy.
Or I can afford to educate one.
Boy. I don't need to educate the woman. And in not educating the woman, you are condemning your family, your descendants to more poverty.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, I mean, there was also research that showed that if a woman in the household is educated, then you are more likely to have educated and enlightened children. Because the woman spends more time with the children, spends more time training of the children. So it is what she knows that she imputes in the children at the end of the day.
And peace builders have found this out as well. It is another reason we have greater and greater insurgency in Nigeria. So when I see our legislators making these kinds of decisions, I feel you don't have the excuse of not being educated. You don't have the excuse of not being aware. Keeping women down is keeping our whole country down. Male, female, all children. It's impacting our business environment. Because if you don't have a business environment that is conducive for women, that means it's also excluding so many other men who could be contributing to environment. I mean, I heard what Bismarck said, you know, about the amount of taxes that were paid. The total number of taxes that were paid last year was, in 2020, he said 4.9 billion. Do you know that if you include women, you allow women to contribute to the economic and political development of a country, you can gain $6 trillion. So we have an opportunity, a benefit of $6 trillion. How much is it costing us keeping women out? $12 trillion globally. So you have a cost, you have a benefit. A business person will just look at that and say, I don't have a decision to make. This is common sense. But our politicians, our legislators, they're not looking at it this way. What are they looking at? Culture.
Tradition, religion.
And tradition, okay. That is not ancient African culture and tradition. It was imported from the cultures that also brought us our religions. It's not Christianity, it's not Islam. It's the cultures that those religions came from who have come and said, oh, men should be doing this, women should be doing this. Traditional African cultures realize that you need the wisdom of men and women making decisions together for community benefit. So we've thrown out the best aspects of our culture. We're holding on to aspects of culture, imported aspects of culture that are holding us back. And now you have data showing that if women are empowered, if there's no gender biases, there's gender equality, our country will develop at an amazing rate. We can gain so much. I think for Nigeria, we're talking about $1 trillion. Add to your 4.9 billion, 4.9 trillion, add 1 trillion to that by just opening the door and allowing women to contribute. We're not here to replace men.
So what are women doing about this?
Well,
I know that the Minister of Women Affairs was so upset. She said we're going to take action against this. But what are women doing? Are we too distracted with the domestic front? Are we ready for this?
I think basically we needed what happened to happen. You know, it has really opened women's eyes. And I think now we say, okay, so this is not women and men, some people holding us back. This is all of you deciding we want you to stay down. We don't want you to come up, even if it's going to mean our country coming up. And we're not going to take it lying down. I haven't heard anybody. And I'm not just talking women alone. We have many men who have common sense, who have vision, right? Who have vision, who are looking beyond themselves and their own little power structure to, if the world is better, if Nigeria is better for all of us, I will benefit, my children will benefit, male and female, right? So I think this is the beginning of a massive, we're now going to see the massive outpouring of women that we haven't seen before, and in a coordinated fashion as well, which I think has been one of our failings before.
Is there a body that is putting something together?
There are so many bodies. So
yeah, but having so many bodies can also be a challenge.
Yes, I don't,
because our energy is dissipated.
But I'm sure you've heard of Ward C before.
Yes, I have.
So Ward C is one of the coordinating bodies, Women's Advocacy and Research and Documentation Center. So they're one of the rallying points, pulling together so many other women's groups. We're coming together. And this time, formal, informal, because this affects women. Well, that's what people don't understand. It affects women irrespective of your economic status. Yes. So rich women are affected. Yes, there are some women, industrialists, who cannot scale their businesses because of bias.
Because of, yes.
Illiterate women, they are affected. We are not safe. in our homes because of insecurity. It all comes from this same thing. We're not safe on the roads. We're not
We're
safe
not
in the
safe from domestic
workplaces.
violence.
We're not safe in the workplaces. So our backs are to the wall. That's what they've done. They put our backs to the wall. They've closed the door to hope. And we said, okay, if we cannot rely on you to sort us out, we will now have to rely on ourselves. And women have we have a history of when we're ready, right?
We go all out for
We
it.
go all out. So watch this space.
But how much change do women have to make from inwards now? Because truth is, for a woman, your priority at different stages of your life is different from that of a man. So how much changes do women have to make looking inwards before this can become a reality?
You know, I'm not sure about that. The more I've looked, I'm a gender champion. And you know, we have two genders. So when I say I'm a gender champion, I'm not just a women's champion. I'm also a men's champion. And I've looked at it. And you know, when people think, oh, the woman, her children is her priority. For men, their children are their priority too. And I think that is what we need to reorient ourselves as women. To stop thinking that parenting is a woman's only task. Men are also parents. There are two parents, right? So it is a joint task. That's one thing. And the other thing we have to reorient ourselves for is that why are we asking for our rights when we have God-given rights? Yes, we're very faithful, right? No problem. So we have God-given. I'm not asking you for the rights that God has already given me. Okay? Because I thought you were making decisions for the benefit of all of us, we allowed you to
Now
go
I
alone.
can see you're
But
not
now we
speaking,
can see
you're speaking for
you're
yourself,
speaking for
and not
yourself
for us.
and not for all. And not for all. So I think it's
All
time for
right.
us to get up.
All right, so women, you heard that. It's time for us to get up. Well, this is a continuous conversation, especially all through this week. We'll be looking at celebrating women from different areas and different industries. Thank you so much, Abiba Balogun, Director, Success for All Limited. It's a continuous fight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of it. Well, let's now head to the market. Now we have Will E. Bong. Okay, just before we take Will, I will just take a breather and then we'll be back to take the markets.